Welcome back. We're trying something brand new today. We're doing a challenge.
Here's the challenge. 4 hours, clock stops at 4 hours. The two losers buy the winner into our meetup game tournament on Sunday.
Let's stay till the end to see who wins a free buy-in. Woo! Let's go.
You know it's going to be a good one when the very first hand of the vlog for me is pocket aces, baby. Let's go. I'm feeling hot, ready to run good. I open it up to $20 and we get two people to call, the hijack and the cutoff. And it's always nice to know you have the best hand pre-flop. How about on the flop as well? It comes ace jack 9 with two hearts. We've got top set. I'm not going to slow play. This board is super wet. I bet $40 and both players actually make the call, which is a great sign. The turn is a 10 and you know what? Let's go for some value here. I size up to 160 and now the hijack gets out of the way, but the cutoff sticks around and makes a call. This pot's getting pretty big, and if we weren't already good, the river secures it. When it comes another 9 and we make a full house, there's about $500 in the pot and we've got about 740 behind. If he has some sort of misdraw or a counterfeit 2-pair like jack 10, he's not going to pay off a big bet anyways, but all of his other holdings are going to be in a super tough spot and tempted to call down on this river, so I'd go for it all. I shove it all in, $740, and it seems like the cutoff didn't have one of those hands. He folds pretty quickly, but nevertheless scooping in a big pot to start off the session right.
We look down at pocket queens in the small blind, our very first hand. Benji on the button raises to $25. This is a 3-blind game. We're back in Ducks game, 1,000 effective. I make it $110 to go, and Benji on the button puts in a 4-bet to 250. It's a small sizing, makes sense for a 4-bet in position. With pocket queens, 1,000 effective, I feel like there's just not too much thinking besides just sticking it in here. I go all in. I don't want to play post flop. So our very first hand, are we running into it or are we doubling up? 4-hour challenge, fold from Benji. We started off over 250 in profit. Let's freaking go.
Swear to God.
What's your VPIP after
You haven't seen a hand from me yet. My VPIP, they're just gonna make fun of me. It's 0 right now.
Yeah?
It's been an hour.
After how much time?
After an hour and 15 minutes. It happens.
First hand finally for me is Queen Deuce of Clubs. Yeah, legitimately like the best hand I've seen so far. We're on the button straddle for $5. 3 people limp, we check, and we are finally off to a flop, which is King Jack 4 Rainbow 1 club. Checks to me, we check. The turn is the nuts card. Tell me guys, what is the nuts card? I think there's a correct answer, and that answer is the 10 of clubs, giving us a flush draw and an open ender. The big blind bets 10, the cutoff calls, we call, and the river is the 7 of clubs. Yes, sir. Checks to me. There's $50 in the pot. We want value. We bet 40. One guy calls. We show, and we beat 10-4 for 2-pair. We scoop a $130 1-2 pot, and now it's time for 2-5, where we will get way more playable hands.
Trying to keep the train rolling. This hand there's a limp. Low jack player makes it 25. We raise it up in the cutoff with ace 10 offsuit to $90. Folds back around to the low jack player and he makes a call. Flop comes queen jack deuce rainbow. We've got an overcard and a straight draw as well to the nuts. When he checks, I bet $100 as a bluff. He decides to stick around and make the call. Turn is a 9 and he checks it over to me. This was an interesting point in the hand. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to go for a bluff here. I think he's going to have a lot of hands that connect with this card. I think it's generally better for him than me. I don't want to get blown off of my equity if I bet and he decides to raise me. So I decided just to check this one back, see if we can get there. And the river comes a deuce. He checks. At this point, I don't know if I can rep a credible line. I decide just to give this one up, wave the white flag, check it back, and we end up losing this one to King Jack offsuit.
We've got like 2.5 hours left of the challenge, but I'm starving. Going to In-N-Out real quick, picking it up for me and Rosie. We're about even right now. Let's see if we can make something happen with the In-N-Out run good. Bag secured. Let's go. Let's play some cards.
We look down at pocket queens on the button, and funnily enough, this is my very next hand after the last one. So let's try to go 2 for 2 with the ladies. I make it 20 to go, small blind, big blind, and the under the gun mandatory $5 straddle make the call. So we're 4 aces to a flop, which comes 10, 7, 2, all spades. Don't have a spade. Hopefully we don't get raised. I'm still gonna go for a C bet. Make it $35 to go. Jay in small blind calls, and the under the gun player makes the call as well. Thankfully, we saw no raises there. The turn is a great 2 of clubs, giving us 2-pair. Checks to me again, and the fact that we didn't get raised means I think my 2-pair should be good. I'm making $125 to go. Trying to get value now. Our hand's gonna be very susceptible. If a spade rolls off, there's no way we can get value. Jay makes the fold, and the undergun player makes the calls. And the river is the 10 of diamonds. The turn bet was already thin. When it checks to me, I'm happy just to check it right back. He announces a 7. I show pocket queens, and we are good.
First 2-5 hand, we see Jack 10 offsuit on the button, under the gun limps. We bump it up to 30, and he makes the call. We're heads up to a flop, which comes Jack 5-9 with 2 spades. He checks, and we see bet top pair for $40. He makes the call. The turn with about 145 at stake is the 4 of hearts, bringing a backdoor flush draw. So when he checks, it is time to size up and charge. We bet 110, and he calls again. Off to the river with 365 in the middle, and it is the 6 of spades. Not that chill. However, under the gun checks, and we are more than happy to take top pair weak kicker to showdown on this board. We check it back. He announces a 9. We show, and we win a nice one.
All right, now we've got our in and out. We're stuck just a little bit of money, having kind of an average session. Time to turn it around. We're playing 2-5 with a $10 button straddle. There's a limp from under the gun, and the next guy to act blind raises it up to $20. Folds all the way around to the small blind, who decides to call. And we're in the big blind and look down at, again, ace 10. So far, we haven't faced any aggression when you think about it. We've only faced a straddle, a call, a blind raise, and another call of the blind raise. So there's a lot of dead money out there. I decided to open this one back up. I make it $100. Folds all the way around back to the small blind player, and he makes a call. So we're heads up in position. Great spot. And it comes king 5-5 with 2 diamonds and a heart. He checks, and although I expect to have the best hand a lot of the time, I decided to exercise some pot control and just check this one back. The turn is an 8, and the small blind now bets $50. Still getting a great price with what I expect to still be the best hand a good portion of the time. I make the call for 50, and the river's a 4. The small blind now bets out again. He bets 105 this time. I'm stuck some money now, and I need to beat Rosie and Frankie in this challenge. I'm gonna trust my gut here. I go for it. I make the call, and he says we're good. I show my ace high, and you know what? He mucks his cards. We went with our read, and we got him good. Let's go.
We've got 1 hour left. We're stuck about $100. Gonna need something to happen here. Whole table's wearing sunglasses, so we put on our lucky shades. Let's go.
We're playing a hand of pot limit Omaha. I look down at ace king king 10. I make it $20 to go. Hijack calls and the big blind calls. Flop comes 4-10 jack. There's 1 diamond on board. We have the ace of diamonds. I'm not sure. I just see bet for 15. Apparently that's not a real sizing. Hijack folds, big blind calls, and the turn is the 9 of diamonds. Checks to me. I bet 50 with a straight draw, blocking king queen. I go for it, and unfortunately he repots it for 240. And now I start doing some complex, math solver stuff, calculating all the straights I block with my 2 kings. And I was thinking about before the hand when Benji, he told me that he doesn't play much pot limit Omaha. So given that I'm blocking the best hand that he can possibly have here, I go for it. I go for a pot size jam. We're blocking the flush draw, the nut flush draw. And I was hoping I can get off a set or worse straights. He ends up jamming, and I call off for a little bit less. And don't do what the guy to my left did in this hand.
All in? Call, right?
Yeah, the call.
Hey, want to go fight? Sure.
The reason this ticks me off a little bit is because Jay shouldn't be talking about whether I'm going to call or not when he's not in the hand, and I had no time to think about it. I never play Omaha. This is a dealer's choice 1 game round we're playing, so there's just one time I'm going to play Omaha in the next 8 hands. I should just fold pre-flop, but now I'm in this terrible situation. We're going to run it twice, and we know that he has king queen.
Y'all probably have the same hand. One of y'all is free rolling. One of y'all is
king queen?
Yeah.
The first river comes the 2 of diamonds, and the second a 7. No help for us, and that's not going to help us in this 4-hour challenge.
Well, I thought we were starting really hot, and it turns out we're starting way not. I am down $1,500 already. Wow. Omaha, I suck at that. I am sorry to everyone who had to watch that.
Here we have ace 8 of clubs. The vibes are good. We are winning, and we opened to $30 in the hijack. Both the small and big blind call, and we head off to a flop of 9-6-4, 2 diamonds, no club. Not what we wanted to see. The blinds check to us, and we check it back. The turn is interesting. It's the ace of diamonds, the 3rd diamond. Small blind checks, but the big blind leads out for 70. It's a pretty big bet, but we pick up top pair, and I don't think we can go away just yet. We call, and the small blind folds. Off to the river with over 200 in the middle, and it's the 3 of diamonds. That is not very cool. The big blind checks, so let's get to showdown, and he shows queen jack of diamonds for the turn flush, so the river actually saved us some money.
This has to be one of my favorite hands of poker I've played in quite some time. There's a limp. We're in the low jack and see ace 10 offsuit. I make it $35 and that limper makes a call. He should know that we're in a challenge and I'm gunning for his whole stack this hand. The flop comes queen jack 9 rainbow. We've got an open ender as well as an overcard. He checks. I bet small to 25 and he makes a call. Turn is a 7 and he checks again. Do we go for it and try to get him off some weaker holdings? We block the nuts. We have outs to a strong hand. I say we go for it versus this weak range. I bet $130. After some thinking, he decides to call. The river is the deuce and it's another heart. He checks again, and before I act, he says, "Be careful," and flashes me the queen of spades. So now I know he's got top pair, and we, sitting here with ace high, are left with a decision. Get the sense that this guy doesn't have much to go along with his pair of queens. I'm gonna stick with the plan and keep on firing. I make it $300. This has got to look even stronger after he shows me the queen, right? He thinks about it for quite some time and decides eventually to make the fold. We get it through here and we scoop in a nice pot our way, crushing Rosie and Frankie at this point. Time to win this challenge.
We look down at 2-8 offsuit in the small blind. The cutoff raises to 10 and we fold. The big blind calls, and you might be wondering why this hand exists. Well, the dealer puts out the flop. We do a double take and see that the flop was 8-8-8. I think I'm definitely a little fishy for being mad at this, but I'm human, you know, that sucks. So our next small blind, we see ace queen. The button straddle's on for 10, the cutoff limps for 10, and we're opening this one up. We make it 75 Texas style, and sure enough, it does not fold around Texas style. We get one caller in the cutoff. We're off to a flop which comes jack 4-4 rainbow. We brick, but heads up, I think we still go for the c-bet here. I bet 60, and he raises us to 160. That's not fun. I could try to get cute with ace high, but I don't think that we're going to have a fun time navigating further into the hand, out of position, without the betting lead, so I make the fold.
Rough stretch has us down to even. Even could be good, but it doesn't feel good, so let's try to win one more, please.
Pretty tilted. Next hand, we look down at 6-5 of clubs in the hijack. Benji opens for 15. We 3-bet to $45. Small blind puts in a cold call, and Benji in the low jack calls 45 as well. So flop comes 4-4-5. Checks to me. We flop a pretty good flop for our hand. I c-bet for $60. Small blind folds, and Benji puts in a raise to $150. Well, we have a backdoor straight flush draw. We have a pair. Definitely not folding. We're in position. I make the call for 150, and the turn is the queen of spades. Now Benji checks, which is a good sign. It looks like he has a middling pocket pair. I decide to check and evaluate a river, and the river comes the 8 of clubs. And now Benji gets weird and leads out for $450. A very big bet. It makes no sense because he at this point is repping a full house or ace-4, maybe 5-4, but we block that. So I think that if I was clear-minded, I would just shove it back in his face, but a little bit tilted, not thinking clearly, also would be a tough spot to bluff. I make the fold, and our suspicion was right. Benji flips over pocket 7s.
That's him. Were you bluffing?
Yeah.
I mean, you're the best hand.
Wow, how cool would a shove been? Let's shake it off and go to the next hand. With 45 minutes to go, it's not looking good for us.
We are cruising along in this challenge. The low jack opens it up to $35, and we're next to act looking down at pocket kings, baby. Let's go. I raise it up to 135, folds around to the low jack player, and he makes a call. Flop comes queen 5-4 with the flush draw. He checks. I bet 175. The low jack player leans back in his seat, puts on some sort of Hollywood act, shakes his head, makes some grunts, and then min-click raises me to $350. And it's typically a pretty awkward situation, but he only had about $650 left in his stack, and there's no way I'm getting away from this overpair on this flop. I move all in, and the low jack player snap calls. This pot is massive, would put me well in the profit range, and likely win me this challenge. I'm really looking just to avoid a heart or an ace here. Let's head to a turn. It comes an offsuit 6 and a jack of hearts on the river. Oh gosh, did he just get there in this massive pot? Well, he kind of did. I mean, he was there already. He shows us pocket queens. He flopped a set on us and unfortunately coolers us in this pretty massive pot. And just like that, the buzzer strikes and we are left in shambles.
Here we have pocket fives, and I think we need to win one. I opened to 30 in the hijack, the button calls, and the small blind 3-bets to 75. This is such a small raise. We're deep. Let's try to find these fives' long-lost brother. I make the call, and the button calls as well. So we're off to a flop 3 ways, which comes king 4 deuce rainbow. The small blind does not c-bet. He checks. We check, and the button checks. The turn is the 6 of hearts, giving us a gutter. Small blind checks again. Do we start betting for value here? Third pair multi-way in a 3-bet pot doesn't sound like a value bet spot, but no one is showing much interest. I do check, but I'm just curious what you guys think. The button checks again, and the river is an offsuit queen. And now the small blind bets $280. Yes, over pot bet here, out of nowhere. Am I crazy for wanting to call this? His line makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. There being a player behind disincentivizes me from wanting to get crazy, so I do make the laydown. The button folds and the small blind shows a queen. Did he have pocket queens? Is he a 1-queen psycho? Regardless, we lose another one. We would have lost if we called, but we're struggling.
Next hand, when the hijack again with ace 5 of clubs. Under the gun called 5. I would bump it up to $30. Jay makes the call, button makes the call, small blind makes the call, and the under the gun limper makes the call. We're 5 ways to a flop, which comes king, queen, 8, 2 clubs. What a flop. We're gonna need some big hands to catch up to the boys. We put in a c-bet to $75. Jay makes the call, and the other 3 players fold. Come on, flush one time. The turn is the jack of spades. No flush for us, but I do think I'm going to continue barreling here. I could try to get a queen to fold. I can try to get a straight draw to fold. So I continue for a bet of $200, and Jay makes the call. Pot is $700. Come on. We need to hit our flush and stack Jay. The river is the 6 of diamonds. No. We block potential flush draws that he could have. This is not a good cannon to bluff, so we check, and Jay puts out a bet of $150, which is pretty suspicious, but having clubs is just a terrible hand to bluff with, so I just do what I do best and make the fold. We're not going to be making our money back that way.
We are down $150. My 4 hours are almost up, and we look down at the ace of hearts followed by the ace of diamonds. Yes, it's as if the poker gods just know what's at stake here. By the way, do you guys like these challenge videos? I think they're fun. They spice up the content. The boys and I want to do more of them, so if you guys like it, let us know in the comments down below for sure. We're in the hijack. We open it up to 25. The cutoff calls and the small blind calls. The flop comes queen, queen, deuce with 2 hearts and a diamond. The small blind checks, and I like to protect my checking range here with a check. We block both nut flush draws, which is a big portion of their continuing ranges. We're up against aggressive opponents who will likely bluff as well, so I think this is the spot to do it. And sure enough, the cutoff does lead right out for $30. Other guy folds, and we make the call. The turn is an offsuit 5. We check, and he bets again. $80 into 135. Do we now go for the check raise, or do we let him keep bluffing on the river? I like to go for option B, though I think both have merit. We call, and the river peels off the 4 of spades. We check once more, with almost 300 in the middle, our entire challenge at stake, at the buzzer. He thinks about it, checks it back, we show, and we win. Let's go.
This is the worst $60 I've ever lost in my life.
Should be 65 actually.
2 tickets?
Yeah, I lost the challenge versus Rosie. I'll buy your ticket today. Wait, no, bring it back. He does not deserve this at all. He won like $-. I won the least. So.
I won $0. Next gen's we gotta hit the study books. Oh baby, there's 2. That's more than 1 ticket. Free rolling.
Let's go!